Hello everyone, this is Mr. Orozco, and in this video we are going to learn how to create the basic shape that we will later cut in order to create our dragster, in order to design our dragster in Autodesk Inventor. So I already opened Inventor, and this is a welcome screen. If this is the first time that you open Inventor on this computer, you're going to get this little welcome to Inventor screen. We're going to go ahead and start working. If you had already opened Inventor before, you are not going to get that welcoming screen. What you're going to get is this menu here. So I'm going to start by creating a whole new part. So Inventor works, so we're going to start by creating a part, and then we're going to get another parts that I'm going to provide to you, which are the axles and the wheels of the cart or the dragster, and then we're going to create an assembly putting all of those parts together. So we're going to start by creating a new part. This will take a little bit to load. And a few more seconds, and this computer is awesome. All right, so now here we are on the main screen that we're gonna use. And if the first thing that we should always do is that we should save our part. So I'm going to click on File, Save As, and now what I'm going to do is right here at the top, I am going to look for the drive that has my school ID. So when I go down, I am going to find OROW. That is my ID. So you're going to see your own ID here, and you're going to click on it. And then if you do not already have an engineering folder, you're going to create one by clicking on this icon here on the top. It says Create New Folder. Once you click on it, you will name that new folder. Sorry about that, the bell went off. So once you click on it, you're going to have the option to name your new folder. You just name it Engineering. So I already have an engineering folder in here, which is Engineering. And when I open it, I have a bunch of old files in there. You are not going to have anything because it is just a new folder. What you're going to do is that you're going to create your part, give it a name, and it's going to call Dragster. Okay? You're going to click Save, and here is our, now we can actually start working. So what I'm going to do is that I am going to start by clicking Start 2D Sketch. This shows up showing me different planes, and what I'm going to choose is the XY plane. So I click on it, and the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a rectangle. Now, if you notice how I'm panning things around, I'm doing this by holding the scroll wheel of the mouse. It is better if you use an external mouse. Do not try to use the mouse of the computer next to the keyboard. It is way easier to use an external mouse. So if I hold the scroll wheel, I can pan and move around my working area. So I'm going to move it here to the bottom left. This is my origin point. I'm moving it down to the bottom left. And then I'm going to click on Rectangle. I'm going to click on my origin point, and then I click once, and then I move away from that origin point. Now, if you notice, the number on top changes, and that is giving me the width of my rectangle. If I move up and down, the number that is not highlighted also changes, giving me the height of this rectangle. I can actually type in my measurements. So according to my specifications, the length of the wedge of wood that I'm going to use is 7.5 inches. So I can just type 7.5. And then I'm going to hit the Tab key, and now I can change the other dimension, which is the height. And according to my specifications, the height of my wedge is 1¼ of an inch. So I can just type 1.25 and hit enter. And then if I double tap on the scroll wheel, now my whole rectangle appears, is placed on my window. I can also use the scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. If I move the scroll wheel up, it zooms out. If I move the scroll wheel down, it zooms me in. All right. So right now I have my rectangle. I am going to go to the top right where it says Finish the Sketch. I click on Finish. Once again, I double tap on that scroll wheel, and it brings everything to my screen. So I can see right now that the full width of my rectangle is 7.5 inches, and then I can see that the full height of it is 1.25 inches. Next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to extrude this rectangle, meaning I'm going to make it three-dimensional. So I move to the top left where it says extrude. I click on it, and Inventor automatically detects the rectangle as the basic shape that I'm going to extrude. And it gives me a little preview of it. So right here, I am going to type in the full width of my wedge. So the width of the wedge is 0.75 inches. So all I have to do is that I use my keyboard to type 0.75. I hit enter, and there is my three-dimensional shape. Now, the part that you guys have that you're going to be provided with is a wedge, meaning that it has a cut here that looks like a wedge, like one of those door stoppers. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to subtract. I'm going to take away the piece that I do not need. So we do this by creating another sketch. So I'm going to hit on sketch, and I'm going to click on this face of this part right here. Once I click on it, everything is rotated. Once again, I click down on my scroll wheel to move things around. Right? And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the line tool. I am going to draw the outline of the part that I need to cut away. So I'm going to start by clicking here on this top, on this corner on the top. If you notice, the little yellow dot turns green when I'm at the corner. This is a way for Inventor to help me figure out that I am actually on the right spot or the corner of the shape. So I click once, then I move down. Now, once again, you can see numbers changing. You have degrees of rotation. You also have the length of the line that I'm creating. So if I move down and I make sure that the line is completely straight, I can see that it is 90 degrees. Now I can actually, again, type in the length of my line. If you remember from the specifications, the front of the wedge is 0.25 inches height. Right now, the height of this rectangle is 1.25 inches, meaning that from this side, I need to take 1 inch away. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to type the number 1. I'm going to enter, and this was done incorrectly. It was supposed to be done to the right. So I'm going to go Control Z. Oops, let me just right click, click OK, Control C, get rid of that line, and let's see if I can try it again. Click, go down, and type the number 1 and enter. All right, there it is. This is what I wanted to do from the beginning. So right now I have a line there. You can barely see it. It's a blue line that was created, and that is the first line that I have. Now I'm going to create another line that is going to be right here in this corner. So I move my cursor until I go, my little green, yellow dot becomes green. I click once, and then I am going to go back to the beginning. So I'm creating a rectangle. I click again, and then I'm going to right click on my mouse and I'm going to hit OK. So if you notice, I have a line here, I have another line here, and I have another line here. This area is the one that I'm going to cut away from my piece of wood. So I'm going to click Finish a Sketch. You can see my rectangle there. And I'm again going to use the Extrude tool. I click on it. And then, but this time, I do not want to extrude it as a whole new part. What I want to do is cut the part. So if I click on this arrow here, there are different options that appear. Right here, I'm going to choose the one that says cut. And you're going to notice here the preview, what this cut means. I click on it, and you notice that now this is extruded in that direction. And as it extrudes, it takes away from the part. Make sure that you have a distance of 0.75 or that you do all, meaning all will automatically extend for whatever width your shape is. So I'm going to click OK, and there you go. I cut off the top section of my part. The next thing that we have to do is that we need to create the hole where the air is going to, actually the tube from the air that we're going to use is going to be inserted in. So we need to create a little hole here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the hole here in the back of the wedge. And once again, I'm going to create this by clicking on Start a 2D sketch. Then I click on the surface where I want to create my sketch, which is this section here. Once again, things rotate by themselves. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a line on the center of this, and it's going to go up by 9/16 of an inch. So I do that by clicking on line. Now, once again, I have my yellow dot, and Inventor helps me figure out the center of this line by having that green dot, and it kind of snaps into place there when I get close to it. So I'm going to hit that dot, click once on my left click, and now I move up. I need to make sure that I have a completely vertical line, and this is shown by that 90-degree value on the right. Now I'm going to type 9/16 of an inch. I can actually put the number 9, put my forward slash and the number 16, and when I hit enter, there is my line. Now I'm going to right click and hit OK, and my line was created. So 9/16 is equivalent to 0.563. All right, I'm going to finish my sketch, and the reason that I created this line is so I can reference the center point of the hole that I'm going to create. So now I can either create a shape of a circle here and extrude it as a cut inward, or I can actually use the hole feature. Hole feature works only for circular holes. For this one, when I click on hole here on the top, this appears, and now I need to select the center of the hole that I'm going to create. So I'm going to click here on this little dot. You see at the end of the line how it lights up as white? That is the center, the end of the line, which will be the center of my circle. So I tap on it once, and if I move this around, right, it's showing me a preview of where the hole is going to be. Now the hole is going all the way through, but I do not want that. The hole does not go through all of my piece of wood. It actually goes only 3 inches in. And the width of it is, I'm sorry, not the width of the hole, but the diameter of the hole is 3/8 of an inch. So right here in this section is showing me that I can put the diameter of the hole. So I said it was 3/8 of an inch. So I type the number 3 forward slash and an 8. All right. And then the termination is not through all. So I click here and I go by distance. And now this appears, and this is where I'm going to set the distance, the depth of the hole. So this is 3 inches. So I should have right now 3/8 of an inch for the diameter of the hole, and I should have 3 inches for the depth of the hole. Once I do that, I click OK, and there it is. My hole was created. I can kind of hover over the hole, and a little outline of the hole shows up, showing me the whole hole inside the shape. I can actually click on this little square and move it around, and I can rotate things so I can see them. If I click on the home button, it will zoom in and place my view on the home view. All right. The last thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the holes where the axles are going to be located. Now next, so I'm going to open the holes where the axles are going to go, and I am going to go back to my specifications, and this time I'm going to start working with the design that I selected using my decision matrix. So the location of the holes is going to vary depending on your design. What is important, according to the specifications, is the height of that and how far away your axle is from the front. So according to the specifications, it says that the front cannot be less than 1 inch from the front of my wedge, and cannot be less than 3/4 of an inch from the back of my wedge. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how to create the holes 1 inch, exactly at 1 inch from the front and exactly at 3/4 of an inch from the back, but your design may be different. So this is up to you. the height of it is actually 0.156 inches from the bottom. That is set for everyone. So I'm going to start a 2D sketch. And the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a line. The line has to be, so I'm actually going to create two lines. I'm going to select the bottom left of my shape. I'm going to move up and I'm going to type 0.156. I hit enter. I have a tiny line created there. And then I'm going to create a horizontal line. So I need to make sure that my 90-degree angle is showing up at the bottom right of the screen. I don't know if you can see it. And then I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to right click on my mouse and hit OK. My line was created. It is exactly 0.156 inches from the bottom of the piece of wood. Now, I also need to create another line from the beginning. All right. Okay, so according to the specifications of this, of my Dragster, it says that the axle holes need to be located at 0.156 inches from the bottom of the piece of wood and cannot be less than 1 inch from the front of the piece of wood for the front axle and cannot be less than 3/4 of an inch from the back of the piece of wood for the back axle. So here, the location of your holes, as far as horizontally speaking, they will have to agree to your own design. The height of the center of this axle holes is going to be at exactly 1.156 inches. I am going to show you how to create the holes 1 inch from the front and 3/4 of an inch from the back. But the location of your holes will vary depending on your designs. Just make sure that for the front axle is nothing less than 1 inch, and for the back one is nothing less than 3/4. So we started by creating a 2D sketch, and I'm going to select this face of the shape. And then what I need to do is identify the centers of these holes. I do this by hitting on the line. I click on the bottom left of my shape, and I'm going to move up. Now I'm going to type 0.156 inches. I hit enter, and I'm going to move to the right 1 inch. All right, I hit OK, and now this is showing me my dimensions. So remember, right here, for your own creation, you cannot move, you cannot have the center of that hole to the left of this line. You can have it anywhere else on the body, but you cannot move to the left of this limit. That is what the specifications say. Next, I am going to create another line for the back hole. So I click on the bottom right of my shape. I move once again 0.156 inches. So move here, type 0.156, hit enter, and then I move to the left 3/4 of an inch. I can either type 0.75 or I can go 3/4, hit enter, and my line is created. Right click, click OK, and now I have my other line here. So remember, once again, specifications say that this axle hole cannot be anywhere in this area, and this axle hole cannot be anywhere in this area. This back axle hole can be anywhere on the body, and this front axle hole can be anywhere from the body. So basically your limits are all the way from this point to this point. Okay. I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to use my hole tool again. Okay, so now that I have my lines, I'm going to click on hole. Now by default it's showing me, it thinks that this is the center of the hole that I want to create, but it is not. I can get rid of it by clicking on this center. Let me see if I can get rid of that selection. Should be by clicking. No. Oh, no, it's not the one. Let's see if I click on this center. I can click on hole. All right, there you go. So first you click on where you want the hole to be, and then you open the hole tool. If not, it will think that this here is the hole, but that's not what we want. So I selected this. Now I select the other hole that I want to create. So I can actually now generate multiple holes. Now this is going to be a through hole because I want it to go all the way through. And then, according to my specifications, the dimension of, or the diameter of this hole is 1/8 of an inch. I hit OK, and there you go. The two holes have been created. If I move things around, you can actually see that these holes go all the way through. And that's it. That is the basic shape. From this point on, it's all on yourself. You need to start cutting things around. The same way that I got rid of the top of this rectangular box in order to create a wedge is the way that you're going to create your design. Cut things around, use fillets. Fillets allow you to create round shapes. You will need to put a radius to it. So if I show you, notice how this gives you that round edge. Okay. Create holes. For example, if I wanted to have this be thin over here, then I will do that by creating a 2D sketch on the bottom of it. So it all depends on the design that you have. And for example, I would like to create something that will go like this, and then like this, right? And then what you need to make sure is that whatever you cut, it needs to be an enclosed shape. So right here, I have two enclosed shapes. Finish my sketch. Hit the extrude tool, as a cut, select those centers, hit OK, and there it is. I started to cut my shape. Okay. So if I want this to be round, then I select on the round edges. Make sure that you click on all the edges that you need to. I hit OK, and then my dragster starts to take shape. Now, you need to be very careful. Let me show you why. If I cut more than enough, I'm going to have a problem. If, for example, I need to cut the top of this, let's say that I have a shape that is going to look something like this, right? Because I want to cut that top of it. If I don't make my measurements correct, I'm going to actually cut through the air hole of my dragster, and that will not be a good thing. So let me show you how that will look like. Extrude this shape as a cut, click OK. Oops, well, it's a little bit under. Let me try to edit this sketch. Delete the sketch, delete the sketch. Let me start again. So start to the sketch. Let me cut the top portion of this by using an arc. So I'm going to click here, click there, click somewhere around here. Then I need to close this shape to be a completely closed shape. And then if I extrude this as a cut, notice what happens. If I were to do this in real life, I will be cutting through the hole, the air hole of my shape. And when you do that, your dragster will not work. We are putting pressure A through this hole, which is what is going to shoot your car or your dragster through the track. If there is a hole, there will be, all of your air will escape through that hole, and your dragster will not move. It may move, but not by much. So make sure that as you design your sketch, as you create things, cut things, and so on, you do not cut through this hole, nor you cut through this axle holes. Okay? All right. So I wish you the best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions.